It's January 27th, 1945. The gates of Auschwitz creak open. Soviet soldiers step through the snow, guns drawn, and faces frozen in disbelief. They see piles of shoes, gold teeth, eyeglasses. But one man, the most feared doctor in Nazi history, is missing. His name was Joseph Mengele, and he had already vanished. The man who experimented on thousands of prisoners, even children, under the name of science, had escaped into the shadows of post-war Europe. But how did he do it? How did the angel of death manage to live free for more than 3 decades while the world hunted him? Joseph Mengele was born on March 16, 1911, in the small German town of Günzburg, Bavaria. His family was rich, owners of a prosperous machinery business. He was smart, charming, well-spoken, and disciplined. He wasn't the type of man people imagine would one day become a symbol of cruelty. In his youth, Mengele studied medicine and anthropology at the University of Munich, one of Germany's most elite institutions. He was fascinated by genetics, by the idea that human perfection could be engineered. And when he joined the Nazi Party in 1937, he found a home for his obsession. To him, Hitler's master race ideology wasn't politics. It was a scientific project. And when the war began, Mengele saw his chance to experiment, not in a lab, but on living humans. It was May 1943 when Mengele arrived at Auschwitz-Birkenau, the largest of the Nazi death camps. The air reeked of smoke. Trains arrived daily, packed with men, women, and children. Mengele stood on the ramp, neat uniform, white gloves, deciding with a flick of his wrist who would live and who would die. Left meant labor. Right meant the gas chambers. But for some, he had special plans. Twins, dwarfs, pregnant women, people with rare conditions. They were taken to Block 10, his personal laboratory of horror. Mengele's experiments were a twisted mix of curiosity and cruelty. He injected dye into children's eyes to see if he could change their color. He sewed twins together to create conjoined siblings. He cut limbs, exposed organs, infected wounds, all without anesthesia. He smiled while doing it. He even whistled classical music. To him, these people weren't victims. They were data points. His goal was to unlock the secret of heredity, to help create the perfect Aryan race. Witnesses later said that after an experiment failed, Mengele would personally kill the subjects, often with a syringe of chloroform straight to the heart. One survivor recalled him saying, "The more we do to you, the less you seem to believe we are doing it." By January 1945, the Nazi regime was collapsing. The Red Army was closing in. Mengele gathered his research notes, thousands of pages, and fled Auschwitz just days before liberation. He disguised himself as a German infantry officer and disappeared into the chaos of post-war Germany. The world soon learned about Auschwitz. The trials began. The names of the monsters surfaced: Goering, Himmler, Eichmann, and Joseph Mengele. But while others were caught or executed, Mengele was gone. For years, he lived quietly under fake names. First in Bavaria, then in Austria. He worked as a farmhand, hiding among other Nazi fugitives. In 1949, fearing capture, he fled Europe altogether, boarding a ship to Argentina under the alias Helmut Gregor. Back then, South America was a haven for ex-Nazis. Dictators like Juan Perón welcomed them, seeing them as anti-communist intellectuals. In Buenos Aires, Mengele lived freely, attending dinner parties, going to the beach, even running a business. He wrote letters to his family back in Germany, and his father's company secretly sent him money. He even renewed his passport under his real name in 1956, openly, in Argentina. Nobody stopped him. But the world hadn't forgotten. By the 1960s, Nazi hunters like Simon Wiesenthal and the Mossad Israel's intelligence agency, began tracking Mengele. In 1960, Mossad agents captured Adolf Eichmann in Argentina, another key figure in the Holocaust. They planned to get Mengele next, but when they raided his house, he was gone. He'd fled just days before. He moved first to Paraguay, then Brazil, changing names again and again. Each time investigators got close, he slipped away. Some say local fascist networks protected him. Others say the CIA ignored him, seeing him as useful during the Cold War. Either way, Mengele vanished completely and was never caught. Years passed. He aged, alone and paranoid, constantly fearing capture. He lived near Sao Paulo, Brazil, under the name Wolfgang Gerhard. On February 7, 1979, while swimming off the coast of Bertioga, he suffered a stroke and drowned. For 6 years, no one knew. He was buried under a false name in a small cemetery. It wasn't until 1985, after DNA tests on his remains, that the world finally confirmed Joseph Mengele, the angel of death, was dead. He escaped trial, justice, and punishment, but not history. Even today, his story raises chilling questions. How many like him slipped away? How could the man who stood at Auschwitz, who played God with human lives, live a peaceful life in hiding? Maybe that's the true horror. That evil doesn't always die in flames. Sometimes, it fades quietly into the background, waiting to be discovered years too late. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.